Welcome to Emma's English.
Hey English learners, welcome back to Emma's English Talk, your cozy little place to learn real everyday English through natural conversations. I'm Emma.
And I'm Tom. We are absolutely thrilled to have you join us today for another casual chat.
You know, Tom, as I was opening my kitchen cabinet this morning to grab a glass for water, I was nearly taken out by an absolute avalanche of metal and plastic.
Oh no, let me guess. Was it the dreaded collection of travel mugs and insulated water bottles?
It was indeed. I think at last count, I have about 15 different bottles, and honestly, it is getting out of hand.
I completely feel your pain. I think almost everyone living in the modern world today has accumulated a ridiculous number of these reusable containers.
It is so true, and yet we keep buying them, or we get them as gifts, and they just sit there, taking over our homes.
It is a fascinating daily life phenomenon. We buy them with the best intentions of staying hydrated and saving the planet, but they end up causing a different kind of chaos.
Exactly. So today, we're going to dive deep into this hilarious, slightly frustrating, but incredibly relatable daily struggle.
We will discuss the psychology behind why we collect so many, the specific types we prefer, and of course, the absolute chore of keeping them clean.
Yes, the cleaning aspect is a whole saga in itself, with all those tiny crevices and specialized brushes.
I cannot wait to share some of my own embarrassing water bottle stories, and I'm sure our listeners will relate to them too.
It's going to be a fun, lighthearted discussion. And as always, we will be using some fantastic upper intermediate and advanced English expressions.
So, grab your favorite drink, hopefully in one of your many travel mugs, and get ready for a great listening session.
Let's get right into it, because I have a lot of thoughts on this.
All right, Emma, let's start with the sheer volume of these things. Why do you think we feel the need to own more than one or two water bottles?
I think it comes down to a few things, but honestly, my kitchen cabinets are completely cluttered up with these things.
Wait, you said your cabinets are cluttered up. Do you mean they are totally filled with messy piles of bottles and there is no room left?
Yes, exactly. When we say something is cluttered up, it means it is filled with too many items in an untidy way, making it difficult to use the space properly. My cabinet is so packed that every time I open the door, I have to be careful nothing falls on my head.
That sounds like a hazardous kitchen. But why do we let them clutter up our space in the first place? Why not just throw them away or donate them?
Well, because each one has a specific purpose in our minds. For example, I have my heavy, insulated metal flask for when I go hiking, because it keeps the water ice cold for 24 hours.
Right, the classic insulated bottle. That is essential for hot summer days, I agree. But what about the other 14 bottles?
Then I have my lightweight plastic bottle with a built-in straw, which I prefer to use when I'm driving because it is easier to sip from without taking my eyes off the road.
Okay, that makes sense. Safety first. What else do you have in there?
Then there is the giant 1-gallon bottle with motivational quotes printed on the side, like keep going and you are almost there, which I bought when I was trying to hit my daily hydration goals.
Oh, those giant motivational jugs are hilarious. They look like small fuel tanks. Did you actually use it?
To be completely honest, I used it for about 3 days. It was just too heavy to carry around, and it did not fit in any cup holder in my car. But I still cannot bring myself to get rid of it.
Why is that? Is it because you feel guilty about the money you spent?
Partly, yes, but also I treat some of them like they are some kind of rare collector's item.
A collector's item? So you mean you treat them like precious, rare objects that people collect and preserve, like rare stamps or vintage comic books?
Yes, precisely. A collector's item is something that is highly valued by collectors because of its rarity or special design. Of course, a mass-produced water bottle is not actually a rare collector's item, but we treat them that way because of the trendy brands and aesthetic colors.
That is so true. Social media has made water bottles a fashion accessory. People walk around with their pastel-colored tumblers as if they are part of their outfit.
They really do. There is so much social pressure to have the latest, trendiest brand and color. First, it was the sleek metal bottles. Then it was the giant tumblers with handles. And now there is always something new.
I must admit I fell victim to that trend recently. I bought a very expensive insulated travel mug because I saw everyone at my office carrying one.
Did you really, Tom? That does not sound like you at all. What color did you get?
I got a matte olive green one. I thought it made me look very professional and outdoorsy at the same time.
And does it actually keep your coffee hot?
It does, but it is so heavy that I almost never take it out of the house. It just sits on my desk looking pretty while I use my old, battered plastic mug for my actual commute.
That is the irony of it. We buy these beautiful, expensive items, and then we're too afraid to scratch them, or they're too inconvenient for daily use.
Exactly. And then there are the ones we get for free. Every conference, sporting event, or charity run seems to give out free plastic water bottles with their logos on them.
Oh, those are the worst. They are usually made of cheap plastic, they leak constantly, and yet we still put them in our cupboards because they were free.
Yes, we think, well, maybe I'll use this for gardening or wash the car with it, but we never do. They just accumulate in the back of the cabinet, gathering dust.
My bottom shelf is just a graveyard of cheap promotional water bottles. Some of them don't even have matching lids anymore.
That is another mystery of the modern household. Where do the lids go? It's like the mystery of the missing socks in the laundry.
I have at least 5 bottles with no lids and about 7 lids that don't fit any of my current bottles. It's a complete mismatch.
And you can't bring yourself to throw away a lid because you think, the moment I throw this away, I will find the bottle it belongs to.
Spot on. That's exactly the mental trap I fall into every single time I try to organize that cabinet.
It's a vicious cycle. We buy them for our health, we get them for free, we keep them because of guilt, and we can't organize them because of lost parts.
It really is, but I think the real trouble starts when we actually have to use and clean them.
Oh, absolutely. The cleaning aspect is where the real daily struggle lies.
I am so glad you brought up the cleaning aspect, Tom, because this is where my patience truly runs thin.
I think we all pretend our bottles are clean because we only put water in them, but if you look closely, that is definitely not the case.
Oh, definitely. If you leave water in a bottle for more than a couple of days, or if you use it for anything other than pure water, you start to get this disgusting gunk inside.
You mentioned gunk, Emma. That is a great word, but what exactly does it mean in this context?
Well, gunk refers to any sticky, slimy, or dirty substance that builds up over time. In a water bottle, it is that unpleasant, slimy layer that forms at the bottom or around the mouthpiece if you do not clean it thoroughly.
Ugh, yes, that is the perfect word for it. That mysterious, slightly green or gray gunk that hides under the rubber seals of the lid.
Yes, those rubber seals are the absolute worst. They are designed to prevent leaks, which is great, but they are also a breeding ground for bacteria and mold.
And the problem is, you cannot just throw most of these high-end bottles into the dishwasher. You are usually required to hand wash them.
That is so true. When you say hand wash, you mean we have to wash them manually in the sink with a sponge and soap rather than relying on a machine, right?
Yes, exactly. To hand wash means to clean something using your hands. Many of these insulated bottles have special coatings or vacuum seals that will get ruined by the high heat of a dishwasher.
It is so annoying. We pay premium prices for these bottles, and then we have to spend our precious evening time standing at the sink trying to hand wash them.
And you cannot just use a regular sponge because the neck of the bottle is usually too narrow for your hand to fit inside.
Oh, do not get me started on the narrow-necked bottles. You need a whole arsenal of specialized cleaning tools just to wash one bottle.
It's like a science laboratory in my kitchen. I have a long bottle brush, a tiny little brush specifically for straws, and another medium-sized brush for the lid crevices.
I have those too. And yet, even with all those brushes, it still takes an incredible amount of elbow grease to get them truly clean.
Elbow grease. That's a classic idiom. Can you explain what you mean by that?
Sure. Elbow grease basically means hard physical effort, especially when you're scrubbing or polishing something. So when I say it takes elbow grease, I mean you really have to scrub hard and use a lot of physical strength to get that gunk out of the bottom of the bottle.
Ah, that makes perfect sense. You really have to put your muscles into it, especially if you forgot a protein shake in there for a few days.
Oh, Tom, no, please tell me you did not leave a protein shake in an insulated bottle. That is a crime.
I am ashamed to admit it, but yes, I did. I left a chocolate protein shake in my gym bottle in the back of my car during a hot summer week.
That sounds like a biological hazard. What did you do when you found it?
When I finally opened it, the smell was so incredibly foul that I honestly thought about calling the fire department. No amount of elbow grease was going to save that bottle.
Did you actually try to wash it, or did you just throw the whole thing in the trash?
I tried to wash it at first because it was an expensive bottle, but the smell had absorbed into the plastic lid. In the end, I had to admit defeat and throw it away. It was a tragic loss.
I think we have all had to throw away at least one bottle due to a forgotten drink. For me, it was a matcha latte that I forgot in a travel mug.
Oh, matcha can get really nasty too. It turns into a solid green crust.
Yes, it was like cement at the bottom of the mug. I soaked it in vinegar, baking soda, and boiling water, but nothing worked.
Vinegar and baking soda are the ultimate secret weapons for water bottle cleaning, aren't they?
They really are. If you don't want to spend hours scrubbing, a mixture of vinegar and warm water can do wonders to dissolve the odors and stains.
But even then, it's just so much work for something we use every single day. Sometimes I miss the days when we just used regular drinking glasses that went straight into the dishwasher.
I know, but we can't really carry a drinking glass with us to the gym or in the car. We're stuck with our portable bottles.
I suppose we are. It's the price we pay for convenience and staying hydrated on the go.
It is, but I think we can make our lives a lot easier if we just reduce the number of bottles we own.
That is easier said than done, Emma. The temptation to buy a new one is always there.
True, but we have to try. In fact, thinking about this struggle actually reminds me of some great language we can focus on today.
You are absolutely right. Our daily struggles with messy cabinets and dirty bottles actually highlight some really useful vocabulary.
Yes, and I think we should look at how we can use these expressions in other everyday situations. Let's start with clutter up. We used it to describe how water bottles fill up your kitchen cabinets, but you can use it for almost any physical space, right?
Exactly. For instance, you could say, I need to clean out my desk because all these old papers are cluttering up my workspace.
That is a perfect example. It is all about items taking up space in an annoying or disorganized way. What about digital spaces? Can we use it for our computers?
Oh, definitely. You can say, all these large video files are cluttering up my hard drive. It works perfectly for digital clutter too.
That is very useful for modern life. Now, what about our second term, collector's item? We used it a bit ironically today.
Yes, we did. Normally, a collector's item is something genuinely rare and valuable, like a vintage watch or a rare coin. For example, you might say, that original Star Wars toy from the 70s is now a valuable collector's item.
But using it humorously for common items is a very natural, native-like way to speak. Like saying, my brother has so many old shoes, he treats them like collector's items.
Exactly. It adds a bit of humor and exaggeration to your English, which is a great way to sound more fluent and natural.
I love that. Now, let's look at gunk. We talked about the slimy gunk in water bottles, but where else do we find gunk?
You can find gunk in many places, especially in the kitchen or bathroom. For example, you could say, there's a lot of hair and soapy gunk blocking the shower drain.
Or maybe when you are repairing a car, you might get black gunk from the engine all over your hands.
Yes, any sticky, dirty, or greasy substance can be called gunk. It is a very common informal word that native speakers use all the time.
It sounds a bit gross, but it is incredibly useful. Next, we have hand wash. This is quite straightforward, but it's important to know the difference between hand washing dishes and hand washing clothes.
That is a great point, Tom. We often see the instruction hand wash only on delicate clothing items like silk shirts or wool sweaters, as well as on delicate kitchenware.
Right, so you might say, this wool sweater is very delicate, so you must hand wash it in cold water.
Exactly. And our next idiom was elbow grease. I love this one because it sounds like a real product you can buy, but it's just physical effort.
Yes, imagine going to a store and asking for a bottle of elbow grease. That would be hilarious.
It really would. You use this phrase when a task requires hard physical work rather than special tools or chemicals. For example, you could say, the oven was very dirty, but with a bit of elbow grease, I managed to get it clean.
Or if you are polishing an old wooden table, you might need some elbow grease to make it shine.
Yes, it's all about putting energy and effort into physical scrubbing or cleaning.
Now, thinking about my kitchen cabinet, I really need to do something about all those bottles. I need to make a dent in my collection.
Ah, you used the phrase make a dent in. That is our final target expression for today.
Yes. When you make a dent in something, it means you make noticeable progress in reducing a large task, pile, or amount of something.
That is a wonderful explanation. For example, if you have a massive pile of homework and you finish 3 assignments, you can say, I finally made a dent in my homework.
Or if you are trying to save money to pay off a large debt and you make a big payment, you have made a dent in your debt.
It is such a common and natural idiom. It really visualizes taking a small bite out of a huge mountain of work or things.
I definitely need to make a dent in my water bottle collection this weekend by donating the ones I don't use.
That is a great goal, Tom. And speaking of making progress and remembering all these new words, did you know we have a PDF script available for our listeners?
Oh, that is right. For those of you who want to make a dent in your English study goals, we have a fantastic resource.
We offer a complete word-for-word PDF script of every single episode, including this one, so you can follow along as you listen.
It is incredibly helpful for checking pronunciation, studying the vocabulary we discuss, and practicing your shadowing skills.
You can download the PDF script directly from the link in the description box below, or find it in the pinned comment.
And while you are down there, please do not forget to subscribe to our channel and hit the notification bell so you never miss an episode. Your support means the world to us, and it helps us keep creating these lessons for English learners all over the globe.
Absolutely. It is the best way to stay consistent with your English listening practice.
All right, and speaking of reviewing and keeping things fresh in our minds, let's do a quick recap of the words we learned today before we say goodbye.
Excellent idea. Let's do a quick tour of our 6 key vocabulary expressions from today's chat.
First, we had clutter up, which means to fill a space with too many things in a messy and disorganized way.
Like my desk, which is currently cluttered up with coffee mugs and old notebooks.
Exactly. Second, we discussed collector's item, which is an object valued by collectors because it is rare or special, though we often use it humorously for things we collect too much of.
Like how some people treat their massive collection of sneakers as if they are rare collector's items.
Third, we talked about gunk, which is any sticky, dirty, or slimy substance.
Such as the sticky gunk that builds up on your kitchen counter if you do not wipe it down regularly.
Fourth, we had hand wash, which simply means to wash something by hand instead of using a washing machine or dishwasher.
Which is necessary for delicate silk dresses or those fancy insulated travel mugs.
Fifth, we explained elbow grease, an idiom that refers to hard physical work and effort, especially during scrubbing or cleaning.
Like using a lot of elbow grease to scrub the rusty spots off an old bicycle.
And finally, sixth, we had the idiom make a dent in, which means to make a noticeable reduction or progress in a large task or pile.
Just like how studying every day for 15 minutes can really make a dent in your English learning goals.
What a perfect way to summarize it, Tom. We hope these words help you express your own daily struggles more naturally.
We certainly do. Now, we want to hear from our wonderful listeners.
Yes. What about you guys? How many reusable water bottles or travel mugs do you currently own, and what is your secret trick for keeping them clean?
Do you have a cabinet that is completely cluttered up, or are you a minimalist with just one trusty bottle?
Let us know your thoughts and stories in the comment section below. We absolutely love reading your responses and interacting with you.
Thank you so much for hanging out with us today on Emma's English Talk. Keep practicing, keep listening, and we will see you in the next episode.
Goodbye, everyone. Happy learning.